The return of Ran Gvili for burial in Israel this week marks the beginning, please God, of a new era. It has been 11 and a half years since we have not had hostages alive and deceased in Gaza. Already since the Protective Edge War with Oron Shaul, Hadar Goldin and others later, we have had hostages alive and deceased in Gaza. So it's not only the 251 who were so brutally taken on the 7th of October, but also the 4 before. This ends an era which we hope and pray will be the end of hostages in Gaza and anywhere else. But I want to reflect on something about the personality of Ran Gvili, which I believe reflects not only his acts and the acts of the soldiers and civilians on the day, but something which goes to the core of what leadership is about, and specifically Jewish leadership and the leadership of Nachshon, the unusual Nachshon type of leadership, which is Chazal teach us, the sages in this week's parasha. You see, Ran Gvili, the hero, as was said at his funeral, he was the first one in and the last one out. What does it mean to be the first one in? Yes, there are other people there before. Our son Daniel and his tank were positioned on the border, and soldiers and civilians were fighting right from the beginning. But what did Ran do? Ran did something unusual which reflects what thousands did on the day. He left the comfort of his home with a broken shoulder. He was in the police force at age 24, it'd been a number of years, but with a broken shoulder, he wasn't able to fight. But he understood that it has to be him. He understood that if it's not going to be him, if it's not going to be him, who's it going to be? He got up with a broken shoulder, fought, saved so many lives, and fought until his last bullet. You see, what he did on that day, Ran, and so many others, is exactly what Nachshon ben Aminadav, according to our sages, the head of the tribe of Yehudah, did. A unique type of courageous leadership that brought into the world this mode of leadership called Nachshon leadership. In fact, in Yiddish, they say to be a Nachshon. Be a Nachshon. Nachshon means to be a courageous, daring leader. And what is it? It is, you see, as follows. It's explained by social psychologists after an event which happened to a lady called Kitty Genovese, a lady who was murdered in 1968. And it came out that tens and tens of people, some say up to 38, witnessed the murder in the safety of their rooms. It was 2 o'clock at night in Brooklyn, 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. And the question that social psychologists dealt with was, how come nobody came down to help? How come? 38 different people happened to see it, being in the safety of their rooms. The murderer even went away and came back to finish the job. Became known as the Kitty Genovese effect, or later by social psychologists as the bystander effect. You see this incredible insight into human psychology. It goes like this. The propensity of a person to help somebody in need is inversely proportional to how many people there are. In simple English, it means if I'm the only person who's around and I see somebody drowning in the sea, I'm more likely to go and help because it depends on me. If there's lots of other people who could help, and there's 20 people on the side of the shore, why should I be the one, what they call in Israel, the friar? Don't be the friar. Why must you endanger your life? Other people can do it. Now you see, if there's nobody else who can do it, and you understand it's just you, you're more likely to do it. But when there are other people, why must I be the one to endanger my life? Because you know what? Other people can do it. The more people there are around, the less likely a person is to be the friar, to endanger their lives when somebody else can. This could not be less Jewish. What did Nachshon ben Aminadav teach us according to the sages in Masechet Sotah, page 37a? Rabbi Yehuda says, nobody wanted to go into the sea. Why did nobody? They knew they had to go into the sea here before it would split. Maybe it would split. Maybe they have to give up their lives. Why did nobody want to do it? You see, the bystander effect. Nobody wanted to do it because other people could. Why must I be the friar to be the one to drown before we save? Millions of other people can. The greatness of Nachshon was as simple as this. So many other people could have, but nobody did. You see, when our son Yonatan left the safety of our home to run down south, when Ran Gvili did the same thing to leave the safety of his home, when Daniel left the safety of his tank position where he could have saved himself by shooting, and when so many others put everything aside, not as friars, doing it when other people could have, but understanding that it depended on them. If they didn't do it, then who would? Being a Nachshon. And it's this spirit of self-sacrifice that I believe saved us on that day. The fact that only 1,250 were killed and not 10,000 at the hands of these 5,000 or 6,000 terrorists across the borders is only because of the Nachshon effect, of people not being prepared to stand by, but to step and stand in. That's Nachshon, that's Ran Gvili, and these are all of our heroes of Israel that do this every single day. May we continue to be Nachshonim, and in the spirit of the self-sacrifice of the greater cause, of always stepping in and not standing by. This should be a new era for the Jewish people, a new era for the state of Israel. No more chatufim, no one ever having to go in and save chatufim. Please God, a time where we're able to have seas split, that our self-sacrifice is rewarded with happiness and with only the best and most beautiful things for the Jewish people. Shabbat Shalom.